is Radio Free Pro Wrestling, your home for smart and stunning wrestling debate with lifelong wrestling fans Shawn and Ashlee. Let the debate begin.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's episode of Radio Free Professional Wrestling. It is I, Shawn, and I'm along with everybody's number one draft pick, Ashlee, as she's about to go 4-0 in the pick contest as we're here to preview WWE Backlash, which is coming to us this Saturday at a special time, 1 p.m. Eastern. So, champ, do you have any advice for me to make my picks? Because obviously I'm not doing something right and you're just crushing me like a grape.
I don't. You just gotta pick with your heart. It's the most important thing. I feel like while being built well, though, I feel like, kind of with the exception of a couple of matches, I feel like we might kind of already know some of the outcomes. Not that it's a bad thing, though, because I really like some of these builds, and I especially am pretty excited for Cody and AJ.
Okay, so Ashlee, looking at this card before us this evening, there's not a match on here that I don't like. The only match where I'm kind of so-so on is probably A-Town Down Under versus the Street Profits. But still, the four guys should have a great match. There's not a bad match, paper-wise, on this card.
No. Like I said, they've done a pretty good job building with all of them. So even if you kind of maybe already can figure out, like, maybe who you think is going to win, I still think they've done a great job with this. And like I said, Cody and AJ should be really good. And I'm definitely looking forward to the women's tag team title match.
Yes, me as well. And I do believe we may pick the same people here. We'll just have to wait and see. So let's go ahead and do it. Champion, you have the advantage. What match do you want to pick first?
Let's start with the ladies tag match then.
Okay, we are talking about the WWE Women's Championship match between the Kabuki Warriors versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Champion, where are we going? Who are you picking?
Well, I think of all the matches on this card, I think this one maybe has the potential to be the one that the title changes hands. Kind of with like the WWE title no longer being with Damage Control, I can see Bianca and Jade Cargill, who've been kind of getting this monster push, come in and take these titles, because they've been very high profile everywhere, on television, on social media, so I could definitely see putting the titles on them and getting like a really good press around them.
I do believe you're right here, Ashlee. Now, we got to keep in mind there's another pay-per-view later in May 28th, if I remember right. It's the Saudi show at the end of this month. So some of these titles may not change hands here in France at Backlash. They may wait to the next pay-per-view at the end of the month. But, champion, I'm going with you. I am picking Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill to be your new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. This for the simple fact that Jade Cargill, This for the simple fact that Bianca Belair is from Knoxville, and if I didn't pick her, I probably would be able to live here.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, they've been pushing super hard with this kind of like putting them together as a tag team, and they've looked great, and I could definitely see doing this and kind of maybe hopefully jumpstarting like into a nice feud.
Very true. I do believe this is the start of the feud, and yes, you can switch the titles over to the babyfaces here and have the heels chase them. Now, it's going to be a little harder for them to chase them because the champions of Kabuki Warriors just got drafted to Raw this past Monday night, and Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair are on SmackDown. But I feel like with the women's tag team titles, they may jump between two brands because you don't have another set for Raw and SmackDown separately.
Yeah, definitely. I could see that making the most sense anyway.
I really don't feel like there's a deep enough roster yet on the main card for another set of women's tag team titles. Honestly, if you're going to do another women's title belt, it should be the women's Intercontinental title, and that should be the next belt they debut for the ladies to go after.
Genuinely, it might be like the best idea as like another women's singles title, considering they do have a lot of women's singles wrestler, but they seem a little hesitant to keep the tag teams together.
I mean, it's just been like a year ago when they unified the NXT Women's Championships into the WWE Women's Championships. This for the simple fact they didn't have enough established tag teams to run two separate divisions.
Well, like I said, hopefully these pairings are going to be long term, and like Jade Jade working with somebody like Bianca is perfect. Like this is exactly what Jade needs, especially like her first like few months and everything here, like as she's debuting and stuff and getting more and more TV time. So kind of let Bianca lead her and learn from her right now.
Exactly, and you have the built-in feud for the breakup, where you can spin these two ladies off into a feud after they have a good run with the tag team title belts.
Yeah, and then a lot of history they'll have to draw upon, and then the breakup and feud, whether you go to something like WrestleMania or something, could be really great.
Okay, champion, we are moving away from this match. What is your next choice? You have 6 matches remaining.
All right, let's do the other tag team title match. Let's do the men's tag team titles.
Okay, so we're sliding down to the Street Profits versus A-Town Down Under. Now, Ashlee, I gotta admit, this may be a coin flip. This may be 50-50s. This is the match, if you ask me to bet my house on, I'd be like, no, sorry, won't do that. Nope. Do you want to pick first, or do you want to make me pick first?
You can pick first.
Okay, so my only logic here for this match is the fact that A-Town Down Under just won this freaking title just about a month ago or so. So give me Grayson Waller and his bonehead tag team partner, Austin Fury, to retain the titles. And yet again, the Street Profits come up just a little bit short, and maybe we'll finally decide if they're heel or faces, because Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, they've been heel and face inside of like the last 2 months, and I don't know exactly where they stand on the spectrum anymore.
Kind of where I see it going as well, but I would love to see the Street Profits get the tag team titles. I think I'll take the same. I think I'll take Waller and Grayson. I wish, like you said, they need a direction for this very talented tag team.
This group, they finally mentioned their name on the show last night on Monday Night Raw. They called them the Pride when they got drafted back to SmackDown. It's the first time they mentioned they had a stable name. I was like, we all knew it. They just didn't use it on TV. There's problem one for you. Like, come on, let's get these guys rolling, make them heel or face, decide, and just run with it. Because Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, 3 very talented individuals. They need to be pushed. They need to be doing some more stuff on SmackDown, since we moved people around and the draft was supposed to start new storylines. So let's get this going.
Yeah, like you said, these are all of those guys. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits are just too talented to kind of be wallowing in this kind of purgatory.
Exactly, I agree with you. So, champion, 2 matches down, 5 matches to go. Where are we going?
Let's go with the most recently added match there. Randy Orton and Kevin Owens taking on Solo and Tama Tonga.
Okay, this is a very interesting match coming up here. For it. Oh, there. Okay, Ashlee. So the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga versus Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Yet again, probably wise money would be, I'm going to go ahead and make my pick here. I'm going with the Bloodline. We are just starting the new chapter in the story that is the Bloodline, as Solo Sikoa is slowly taking over the Bloodline and bringing his own people into this organization. And I got a feeling that Paul Heyman is not long for this organization underneath the leadership of one Solo Sikoa.
Agreed, most definitely. I think if with Solo kind of taking over everything, I think he needs a big win, and to get a big win over Randy Orton of all people and Kevin Owens is kind of a really good way to kind of introduce more people to like Tama Tonga, who's newer here, and also kind of like start this ironically solo journey for Solo.
Very true. And this is another match where I feel like you can revisit this later this month in May when we go to Saudi Arabia and these guys have a return match. And I feel like this is what's so interesting about having Backlash and that Saudi Arabia show within inside of the same 4 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously know like they have this plan, so I can see them already sort of having like some stuff penciled in. But I agree with the pick, and I'm kind of I'm kind of very interested to see where all of this goes with all these like fractured bloodline storylines.
Well, I feel like they're going to do a better job in the WWE to tell this splintering of the bloodline than New Japan Pro Wrestling did the breakup of the Bullet Club into every freaking faction of the Bullet Club.
There's a lot of Bullet
Okay,
Club
champion.
offshoots. That's for
Exactly. Me, you could be like the 18th version of Bullet Club. We just have a couple of names for it. So next match on the card, champion. Where are we going?
So let's see, we got 4 left. Let's go with Jey Uso and Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Okay, so this is the Raw World Championship. This is the one Seth Rollins dropped to Damian Priest at WrestleMania after Damian Priest cashed in on Seth Rollins. I think he cashed in on Drew McIntyre, and gotta say that was a classic moment. And Drew is making his push to the upper level now, and I'm finally happy Damian Priest is getting pushed. So, champion, do you want to pick first, or you want me to pick?
Um, I'll go on this one. I think it's got to be Damian Priest. While it is very very cool to see Jey Uso get like the World Heavyweight Championship shot, uh, I don't feel like you just crowned Damian Priest to take it off of him. Um, I could see. I would say I could see some shenanigans, but I don't know. Damian Priest has been kind of showing his like asserting his dominance as of late. I could see maybe a clean victory.
Well, it's funny you say possible interference. I can see a situation where you can have the other members of Judgment Day try to help Damian Priest, and we advance a slow build for a Damian Priest face turn as the Bloodline costs him the title. Now, does it happen here at Backlash with Jey Uso? That's a $1 million question. Am I willing to take that leap of faith in my logic here? And I gotta say, you know what? Let's do it. Give me a yeet. Give me Jey Uso with a little help, non-help from the Judgment Day as the Judgment Day screws up and we get the storyline of Damian Priest turning face over the summer and we get back around Damian Priest versus Finn Balor at SummerSlam. And I'm just tossing out ideas now, so who knows if I'm right.
Also, that would be very cool to see like Damian Priest get across the title and just absolutely flip on the rest of the Judgment Day.
Well, it kind of helps me with another storyline that we can talk about later on in the show, and I might go back and revisit this point here. So, champion, next match.
All right. Let's take out the Intercontinental Championship match.
Okay, this match is a rematch in a way from the one we saw on Monday Night Raw, where we saw Bronson Reed versus Sami Zayn, a fine match until Chad Gable decided to interfere, and he paid the price because Bronson Reed gave him a tsunami, so we probably won't see him at Backlash. So we get Bronson Reed versus Sami Zayn. Are you going to take the big Australian to win this match, or are you going with the Canadian-owned Sami Zayn?
I'm going with Sammy. I think kind of getting that big emotional win. I think you gotta have him hang on to it. I mean, you could have the big monster come in and kind of destroy him though, but I feel like Sammy's been kind of on a roll.
Actually, I kind of agree with you. I feel like Bronson Reed here is the placeholder for this Chad Gable spot, as we didn't want to go to this feud just yet. We're just getting started with the story of Chad Gable becoming a heel and facing Sami Zayn. Probably going to be our IC title feud for the summer. So, unfortunately for the big Australian, I'm picking Sami Zayn to retain this title. So, my friend, we are getting down to the nitty gritty here. What is your next selection?
All right. So let's do the women's championship match.
Okay, we're going to the women's three-way match. It's for the SmackDown Women's title, as we have Bayley versus Tiffany Stratton versus Naomi. Ashley, do you want to pick first? Or do you want me to pick first?
Good, you can pick first.
Okay, I got a mind and a heart pick here, and I'm trying to figure out which way I want to go, because my heart says Tiffany Stratton should get this title because it's Tiffany time. I know we just gave this title to Bayley back at WrestleMania. She had her great moment, and it's only like, say, a month and a half later, and she hasn't had a official total title defense yet. That might be my one only hang up in wanting to pick Tiffany Stratton here, but we got Naomi to take the pin here, so I'm going to take Bayley to retain here, and she pins Naomi, and we save this Tiffany Stratton Bayley feud for later on in the summer, and by SummerSlam, maybe Tiffany Stratton is your women's champion on SmackDown. But right now, Bayley for the win.
Honestly, very much agreed. I agree too that if anybody else were to win, I think it would be Tiffany with with how far she's come and what she's been doing, throughout the past few months. I do think Bayley hangs on for right now, But like you said, I think very quickly we're going to segue into Bailey versus Tiffany in a singles feud for the title.
I agree with you, but the one fear I have about this match is a certain person got drafted to SmackDown, and I got a feeling that Nia Jax may walk into this match at Backlash and yet again ruin this match like she did like last week on SmackDown.
I hope they don't go the route with any shenanigans. Like I would just like I don't feel like there's really much of a reason for anything like that. Like just let these women go out there and have like a decent, it's a triple threat. I would give it like 20 minutes, like 25 minutes.
Well, you got 7 matches on the card, so I feel like there's plenty of time to give these matches enough time to breathe and everybody get their stuff in. So we are getting close to the finish of this preview here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling, my friend. What is your next match to pick?
All right, so it's the last one, right?
I do believe we're down to the nitty gritty, and we're down to the WWE Universal Championship as Cody Rhodes is going to face off against AJ Styles, 2 Georgia boys battling out in France.
Speaking of Bullet Club.
Hey, 2 former members of Bullet Club. Technically 2 leaders of Bullet Club in a way, because I feel like Cody was a leader of a faction in his mind, and AJ was the official leader of the Bullet Club in canon.
This one, I think,
Cody was
this one I think could be like kind of like a candidate for like I think, but I don't want any shenanigans in this one because I think this one just as is could kind of be up there for maybe match of the year.
Hey Ashley, you broke up. Go ahead and redo that point for me.
Oh, okay. I said I hope they don't. I hope this is just a straight match. I hope there's no shenanigans. I don't want to see anything in this match because I think this match has potential to be like a match of the year candidate.
Ashley, I agree with you. This could be match of the year, possibly. We'll have to wait till December to decide that one. But I am going with the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, to win the battle of Bullet Club leaders here in WWE. And I feel like this is going to be a great send the people home happy in Lyon, France. And the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, stands tall as we go into the Saudi Arabia show later on in May. And maybe at the end of this pay-per-view, we find out who Cody faces next.
Yeah, I like this call, too. I think this was a good first match kind of coming out of winning the championship. Something that they can kind of, at least allude back to, they have some history. They have some, common friends and enemies and things like that. So I like that they're doing this. And AJ Styles, of course, is going to give you a great match no matter what.
Exactly. And you know what? AJ Styles is at a point in his career where the losses don't really affect him. He can take this loss and still get his heat back on SmackDown the following week. And hey, you know what we can do? We can do Sami Zayn versus AJ Styles, or we could do what? Yeah. Oh, you know what? How about AJ Styles versus Logan Paul for the U.S. title on SmackDown or at SummerSlam? There you go. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. We get that title off of Logan Paul. We can say bye-bye to the Paul brothers.
That would be perfect.
Oh, yeah, that'd be perfect. In a perfect world, that would happen. Mike Tyson would punch out the first one, and AJ Styles would hit a class on the other one, and we're done. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been your Backlash preview here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. I got my fingers crossed for a victory here coming up next week on the show, but I got a feeling that Ashley will be celebrating her 4th win in a row here as we wait for AEW Double or Nothing. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on to the Control Center to catch you up in the week of wrestling news.
This is your Radio Free Pro Wrestling Control Center. All the wrestling news you need to know.
And Ashley, my first news story for you this week. Nick Khan has reported put up all his shares of TKO stock, as is also rumored that his contract with TKO WWE runs out in October this year. Can you see a world where Nick Khan is not with the WWE?
I'm honestly not putting anything past like shakeups in the higher ups at the like TKO and WWE level right now. We kind of know there's a bunch of different situations going on, so I have no idea what's going on behind the scenes, obviously. But yeah, I could see him having to either stepping away on his own or kind of being asked to step away, or it is very weird and a sudden move to sell all the shares like that. and reading up on it, it obviously doesn't. It's not set in concrete that he's gone, but it does tend to lean toward that's a on the way out maneuver.
Well, I was thinking, Ashley, WWE, TKO have all of their media right deals done. Everything is locked in for the next at least 5 to 7 years. And with Netflix, it's like 10 to 15 years. So I'm looking around and thinking, what are we going to do with Khan during this time period? I mean, he can broker some more deals for TKO, maybe, but the biggest deal he can possibly do for the company has been done. So he's cashing out and maybe going to his next couple of events or wherever that's going to be. And maybe he's reading the tea leaves and thinking, this is the perfect time for me to back away from this company as we still have the Vince McMahon trial going on. And who knows if that will actually get to trial or that will be taken into arbitration, because Vince McMahon is trying to get that taken behind closed door to arbitration instead of going to a trial.
That would probably be for the best if they can come to some sort of agreement.
Okay, so my second news story of the week is one you gave me during the week. The Federal Trade Commission has issued a final ruling making it illegal for bosses to make workers sign non-complete clauses in any scenario, and voiding nearly all existing non-completes. Now, the question is, does this involve WWE, AEW talent who sign contracts with 90-day non-complete clauses? We don't know yet. Nobody has tried it yet. We'll have to wait and see. But I gotta say, if this does apply to professional wrestling, it's a great move, because the only reason you have these 90-day complete clauses for the WWE is to get the person off TV, them lose some steam, and when they go to another company like AEW, they have to rebuild their momentum and their fan base. I'm kind of happy that this is going away.
Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely something that never really should have been. Not even taking into account just the repercussions of what that could do, like losing your momentum or something. Like you're losing pay. Usually, you're losing. It's not just like momentum. Like there's real world repercussions to like having these non-compete clauses. Like we've seen wrestlers get screwed over by these time and time again. So this is something that, again, should have been done away with a long time ago, but they're finally gone, and hopefully we can get this being applied in wrestling as soon as possible, if it's not already.
Okay, so my third news story this week for you is Cameron Grimes, better known as Trevor Lee on the independent scene, was released Monday of towards the end of last week. His last match was his squash match with Braun Breaker, and he posted a very emotional video on his Instagram account where I saw it, and I felt so bad for the former Cameron Grimes getting released. I have also heard stories where he asked before the draft if he was possibly going to get released, and somebody high up in WWE said he wasn't going to get released, and like 3 or 4 days later, he got the call and he's released. I'm just counting down the days till we see Trevor Lee back in Impact Wrestling or TNA.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before. It's always the worst when somebody loses their job, like, obviously, but like there are options out there, and there are a lot of pretty good viable options, and a lot of wrestling promotions right now doing some good stuff. So hopefully, I don't know, like I said about the clauses, and if they're being the non-compete clauses, if they're being applied, or that stuff is being applied right now, but wherever he goes from here on out, he's going to land on his feet. Like I said, there's a lot of viable options, and a very talented man is going to give as much help as he can to any promotion he goes to.
Very true. Now, when I first heard about this release, I was thinking, I felt bad for him. I felt like he was a victim of wrong time to be called up. The dude was super white hot in NXT, and he got called up at the wrong time to WWE. I feel like if he got called up in this draft cycle, they probably would have done something more with Cameron Grimes, and I feel like he would still be with the company. Unfortunately, is just a victim of the situation. I want to wish all the best to Trevor Lee. Moving on to my next story for you, Ashley. This is some news from me and David, because the Grizzly Young Veterans are launching their own wrestling promotion called Burning Heart Pro Wrestling, and it's going to be from Liverpool, and their first show is going to be June 21st. We'll keep you addressed about this situation on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. We just saw the Grizzly Young Veterans have a match on AEW Collision, and I gotta say, that was one of my favorite matches of the week, and I'm spoiling my own top 5 matches of the week now.
Yeah, no, very good, and this is very cool to see kind of some more people jumping into starting another promotion. I feel like there was a lot of people saying that they should sign with AEW, but like if this is the plan, do this. Like do at least give this a shot first. Like this is very cool.
You know, a lot of people wanted to say if somebody gets released by one company, they should go to the other company and sign. I say look around at see how many bodies is in that company, and if you're able to get TV time for that company. If not, do like GYV, just do per date deals with companies, show up, do a match here, there, and everywhere, and have side person on the side. We see it with Mustafa Ali. This guy is just killing on the independent scene. Hey, Matt Cardona, perfect example. Matt Cardona, everybody should copy his playbook at how he's gone around and made a ton of money on the independent scene after he was released as Zack Ryder from the WWE.
Yeah, no, especially somebody like Ali. You follow in like that guy's footsteps right now. You're bound for success because he has, like you said, just been absolutely killing it.
Okay, speaking of somebody who signed a ascension to WWE, The Rock went onto his Twitter/Instagram account and announced that Drew McIntyre is staying with WWE. He presented Drew with a Claymore at a restaurant of all places, but hey, you know, it's The Rock. He had somebody bring Drew a Claymore, so that was cool. I thought that was a nice little touch in the video. But I am happy that Drew McIntyre is staying with the WWE. We are just seeing Drew get into gear with his new character, and I know he was only champion for about 5 minutes on WrestleMania, but I got a feeling that he's going to be champion before the end of 2024. Just saying.
Yeah, definitely. And I heard, like, you know, the word was it's a very lucrative contract. So hopefully this means that WWE is going to start making some big time offers. We've kind of seen that kind of come into play and be the reason that WWE hasn't maybe picked up as many free agents as they would hope. But Drew absolutely deserves it. This character work has been great. And like you said, I think I did read he had a slight injury, so I'm hoping that won't affect him for too long. But like you said, this I think Clash at the Castle is going to be another crowning moment for Drew.
I'm going to go ahead and say it now. I believe that Drew McIntyre beat CM Punk at Clash at the Castle if CM Punk's clear to wrestle. I feel like that's going to be the thing.
That would be perfect, especially with all the, you know, obviously all the shots that have been going back and forth between them.
And oh, hey, if you want to watch one thing from last night's Monday Night Raw, go find CM Punk's promo and Drew McIntyre's reaction to it. It was well worth it. It was a great promo by CM Punk, and Drew McIntyre's facial reaction was great. On to my next story. As the Zone, it has dropped AEW 1 year after they signed a multi-year extension to show pay-per-views for AEW on the Zone, which was covering Latin America and part of Asia. I gotta say, I feel like this story looks like, if you look clip-wise, it looks bad for AEW that they dropped this because of poor ratings. But I feel like since this is Latin America and Asia, I don't feel like this totally gives you the idea that AEW is not doing well with streaming services. I feel like this is maybe this a fact that they just had the rights for Latin America and Asia.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, I'm not very familiar with the service itself, so I figured it was like international, and kind of looking into it. A lot of people kind of saying the same thing. It's not servicing like many international markets, like you said. It's like Asia, South America. I could see why it would get dropped, especially if people are still able to order over through. There's a lot of other avenues internationally to watch. It seems weird to be kind of featured on so many streaming services, but I'm not exactly sure how it works with like international streaming rights and everything. So
Exactly. I feel like this sound is looking like, hey, we had this deal with AEW. We're not getting a great return as we thought we would get with it. So let's cut bait here and focus on boxing, MMA, and other kind of sports for Latin America and Asia. Okay, so brace yourself for my next story because Powerhouse Hobbs is injured, and according to Dave Meltzer, it's significant injury. And Julia Hart got injured in a match with Layla Hirsch back in April, and it may require surgery. So we want to wish the best to Powerhouse Hobbs and Julia Hart, two of our favorites here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. We want speedy recoveries. We want to see them back in the ring. But this is a blow for new talent coming up on AEW because these two were in high positions for their age in AEW.
Yeah, definitely. And I was reading that like it sort of altered the ending of Hobbs and Moxley. So like obviously we want to see them both get well and get back as soon as possible. I feel like we just got Julia Hart back, and now it seems like she's going to be out for a little bit again with injury. Um, and being like, I feel like she's probably one of the only people in the entire House of Black that had any momentum. I feel like that's a big blow for the House of Black faction as well. Just best best of everything to them. I hope they can heal up quick and get back soon. Yeah, it definitely sucks, and it feels like just kind of just two more big names added to the sort of ever-growing list of injured professional wrestlers out there today.
Exactly. Actually, the growing list of injuries in AEW is just keep on mounting. We want to send our best out to Will Hobbs and Julia Hart. My final news story: AEW has come to agreement with Camille, the former NWA Women's Champion. This is reported by Fightful, and I gotta say, I'm so freaking happy that Camille is moving over to AEW, and she's gonna be a true asset to that company. Even though I was kind of surprised because part of me felt like with Nate Aldis being in WWE, I had a feeling she may go that way and maybe end up on the blue brand as Nate Aldis' muscle or as a wrestler facing Bayley and that crew on that brand. But she's going to AEW, so we want to wish her all the best.
Yeah, I mean, kind of a very cool name to add to this women's division that very slowly but surely has been progressing into almost a fully functioning women's division. I'm not sure.
Okay, we can see the future where we can see Deonna Purrazzo versus Camille, Serena D versus Camille, Toni Storm versus Camille. Stop me when I hit a bad match, okay? Stop me when I hit a bad match. When Britt Baker comes back, we can have Britt Baker versus Camille. We can have Jamie Hager versus
Listen, we just
Camille.
gotta get Britt Baker back on TV.
I know. I'm just running my mind through all these matches now since I'm thinking about this for the last 24 hours. I'm going like, there's so many freaking matches I want to see Camille have in this company now.
We could see her pop on over and have a match with Athena, or have Athena come to Dynamite. I would love that.
Oh my word. Can you imagine Camille versus Athena at Final Battle for the ROH Championship? That would be something there. You want to hold off to December and
versus Queen Aminata.
How did I forget Queen Aminata? We could add Camille versus Queen Aminata. Oh my god. I'd be like, what was this pitch like? And it's like #1 match of the week. Okay, that has in our control center here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling for the very first day in May 2024 here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. And Ashley, we are moving over to the stunning 6 questions of the week.
Time to ring the bell as Shawn and Ashlee debate 6 stunning questions from the week of wrestling. All the whys and what the hell was that?
Stunning question number 1 here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. Ashley, I found this on Twitter a couple days ago. Made me think. Who is the greatest TNA knockout of all time?
Not an easy question to answer. I think my personal pick, I think the person I would put at the top there is probably Gail Kim.
Actually, you read my mind because my first answer to this question is Gail Kim because literally they built this division around Gail Kim when it first debuted back in, I want to say 2008. My other choice is her best rival from TNA, and that's Awesome Kong. There's nobody like Awesome Kong at that time in women's professional wrestling in North America. And when she debuted in Impact/TNA wrestling, they treated her like a big freaking monster, and she destroyed literally everybody on her way to have a match with Gail Kim. And they had one of the best feuds of all time in TNA history.
No, I agreed. Honestly, Awesome Kong was maybe one of the only other people, maybe the only one of like 2 or 3 other people that came to mind. But Gail Kim's wrestling at a time where women's wrestling wasn't really known for the wrestling was kind of outstanding. So I just feel like kind of like what she brought to TNA and then what TNA did for in turn women's wrestling will never be can never be understated in my opinion.
I agree with you. I feel like Gail Kim was a victim of her timing with WWE. They literally brought her up, put the title on her the very first night, and somehow, some way, Gail Kim and the WWE didn't click, so she goes over to TNA. A couple of years being the manager of Jeff Jarrett, and I want to say she was the manager of Beer Money, but the tag team that was before Beer Money. Oh, the Wildcat and James Storm. Oh, America's Most Wanted. She was associated with American Most Wanted for all those years before they built the Knockout division. Then it became the Gail Kim show, and during that time, from like 2008 to like 2010 or so, that division carried Impact TV or TNA TV because some weeks they were the best things on TNA TV. So, Ashley, my second standing question for you. This one may be a little biased for us because we're kind of in our birthday month, but there's reports that the WWE are looking to move WrestleMania away from their traditional end of March, start of April time period. So my question for you, Ashley, do you want to tell the WWE they should move it to May and make it like a present to me and you?
I feel like it's weird because I feel like WrestleMania has, since I was a kid, like slowly migrated to a little bit later and a little bit later and a little bit later throughout the year. Not by much, but maybe by like a week or every couple of years or so. Because I remember most WrestleManias taking place in like mid-March, end of March when I was a kid, and now they're very much like April and stuff like that. I think if you want to maybe open up to some different venues and stuff, having it in May could give you the opportunity to run like, not to be biased, but like a northeastern May WrestleMania where you can do it outdoors. Something like a Foxborough WrestleMania could be very cool, but would be very tough to do in like March or very early April, where it still might be pretty cold here in the Northeast. I could see it opening up like some maybe additional venues or additional places where they might not have been able to run before. So I don't see why not. Like I said, it's kind of been slowly pushing back more and more as I've gotten older here. So
Okay, so counterpoint here to move this to May by all months. First of all, you have Mother's Day weekend here in May. So there's like the second weekend in May is non grata. You can't put it on the second weekend of May. Just for the simple fact, can you imagine a lot of ticket holders looking at their moms going like, yeah, we're not spending the weekend with you. We're going to WrestleMania. No, that will not go over at a lot of people's houses. I'm sorry.
yeah,
We will see divorce. We will see divorces skyrocket if they do this and put it to the second weekend of May. So, I mean, and sometimes my birthday falls the second weekend of May, and my birthday falls on Mother's Day sometime because this is the 12th. So I'm kind of ruining my own birthday out of WrestleMania just for the simple fact that that's Mother's Day weekend every so often. Now, your birthday being later on in the month could work. And you know what? If you want to get rid of this May Sally show, you could put WrestleMania on like Memorial Day weekend. I feel like that would be kind of cool. And I mean, granted, you'll be running against the Daytona 500 and the Indy 500, but I feel like you could manage that if you want to do like a Memorial Day WrestleMania. Like put it on Sunday, then have the Raw after Mania on Memorial Day be important. That would work because you have that long weekend there.
yeah, that could definitely work, especially with the holiday. Like most people would either be able to have the day off the next day, or uh, at least maybe not have to go in so early. I could definitely see them doing something like that, and I think that could be very cool. Because, like you said, like it would turn that big Raw after WrestleMania on the holiday into a big thing.
That's why I'm thinking we'll just have to wait and see. Now, the reason this question came up, there was a lot of feedback that with Philadelphia being the place for the last WrestleMania and it being the beginning of April, the weather on night one was kind of cold for what they would want for a WrestleMania crowd to suffer through. And that's one of the reasons that Minnesota hasn't gotten WrestleMania yet. Minneapolis, Minnesota hasn't been officially named the host of next year's WrestleMania. And there's rumors out there that Las Vegas might be the future home of WrestleMania come next year, which I think is a highly likely possibility since TKO owns the WWE and the UFC. And can you imagine doing back-to-back weekends of WWE and UFC in Las Vegas on two separate weekends back-to-back? That would be a ton of money for TKO.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we're moving on to my third standing question of the week. And this comes out of the NFL draft and this interview that Tony Khan did on day 3 of the draft. he was on the NFL Network, the network that is owned by the NFL. So literally, in a way, Tony Khan owns a piece of the NFL Network here. So he goes on there. They're talking about him suffering the pile driver, him wearing the net brace, and Tony Khan goes on to say that he compares his own company to Pepsi-Cola and the WWE to Harvey Weinstein. And my jaw hit the floor. I'm like, dude, they're giving you free publicity where you can pitch your show like, hey, we just crowned the first African-American world champion on our show. He's doing great things. You can catch him this week on Dynamite at blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? No. Couldn't do that. Put his foot in his mouth. So my question to you, Ashley, is would AEW be better off if they were totally owned by Discovery Time Warner and Tony Khan goes manage the Jacksonville Jaguars and Fulton football?
I don't know. Genuinely, the way TNT is handling pretty much anything else, I would say no. It has nothing to do with Tony Khan. I don't, like you said, Tony Khan takes another opportunity to just say something about AEW and instead it's kind of like kind of poke the bear. I don't understand. I feel like he knew something about that news that was coming about the Nick Khan situation that came out a little later on, but like you could have just let that come out and you would have had a lot of positive AEW press and then that could have handled itself. I don't think it needed any help, I'll say. But on the other hand, TNT is absolutely doing some of the worst management I have ever seen. The president of the company has taken on a massive pay raise for himself, all the meanwhile cutting and slashing anything from Warner Brothers that doesn't quickly make him money, and now they're on the verge of losing NBA on TNT.
You know, Ashley, a lot of people are thinking, hey, if NBA leaves TNT, there's more money for AEW. I'm going like, wait a minute, think about this. The NBA is giving TNT, the server Time Warner, a lot of money to show their games on that channel. That money goes to other things in that company. If they lose that pile of cash, they're going to tighten their purse strings. And I mean, they've been slashing movies that they spend millions and millions of dollars on to write them off for tax losses. And that way, if you write it off for a tax loss, you can never show that movie. I got a feeling that Tony Khan's next TV contract might not be as rosy as he thinks it's going to be. And that's why it's been dragging out as long as it has been. We'll have to wait and see. But I do agree with you. I wish Tony Khan could hire a PR person. I wish Tony Khan could find somebody to run the wrestling operations of this company, like a Dutch Mantel. Heck, I'll take Eric Bischoff. I mean, if they could get along long enough and let Eric run the wrestling side of it and Tony just run the business of it, that would be a possibility. Granted, that's like oil and water trying to get along, but I'm got to the point where I'm tired of Tony Khan putting his foot in his mouth so many times because we're looking at the last great opportunity to have a second major wrestling promotion in North America. And unfortunately, I got a feeling, Ashley, it's a guy who has some money from his dad, and this is his passion project. And now he's deciding that he wants to be the next Dixie Carter.
I'm not willing to go that far yet. He does need somebody to wrangle him, though, because there are times he says things I completely understand, and then there are times where I'm like, guy, all you had to do was shut up. Like, I'm not understanding what was so hard.
Exactly, Ashley. This should have been a softball coming down the middle of the plate, and he should have hit it for a home run. This is literally your own TV network interviewing you. This should be easy. Nothing should go wrong here. You kind of decided to take this weird left turn, and we'll just see where the cards fall. So let's move on to a better question here. And granted, I feel like this question is going to cause us no trouble whatsoever. Ashley, did the WWE make the right decision crowning Becky Lynch the new Women's World Champion instead of Liv Morgan?
I'm not mad at the decision. I think Becky is more than deserving of being a champion again in WWE. I've seen a lot of weird pushback that she is some sort of like glory hog and she is Hulk Hoganing. I've seen people compare her to Hulk Hogan. What are you talking about? She hasn't even really been in the main event scene until recently. For almost 2 years. Like, there's no need to be comparing her to this stuff. And with the match she just had with Rhea and what she was able to do through being hurt, being sick, and everything like that, she absolutely deserves to be the champion. I could see I could see wanting it for Liv, but I could also see. I think Becky I think she deserves it. Liv has a case for it right now, but I don't think she's there yet. I think she's going to have to, uh, on top of coming back, kind of earn her way back into the title picture in a way.
Okay, I agree with you. I feel like keeping this title on Becky Lynch was a good move by the WWE. For the simple fact, you lose one of your biggest stars in Rhea Ripley. And all due respect to all the Liv Morgan fans out there right now, Liv Morgan is not in the position to lead that women's division on Monday Night Raw. I feel like we can drag out the storyline with her slowly taking over the Judgment Day, and when Rhea Ripley gets back, Rhea can take that title off of Becky. Then we start this Liv Morgan revenge tour again, with Liv Morgan being the leader of this Judgment Day, how it looks versus a babyface Rhea Ripley. And inside of that feud, you give Liv the title for a little bit, but it's going to come back to Mommy, because Mommy's always on top, and right now, the man is back around again.
Yeah,
Sorry,
exactly. And when Rhea comes back, there's no way to keep her from being a baby face, in my opinion. So, like, she's going to go over big, and like you said, having her feud with the woman who took her out and kind of seems to be like weaseling her way into take over her faction is, I think, going to be the goal, the plan.
Exactly, and it's the better story to tell. Liv doesn't need a title to tell this story, because the one person to get revenge on Liv can't do it right now because she's injured. So you want to have the title on somebody else. And oh, by the way, Damage Control just got drafted to Raw. Asuka, Io Sky, Kari Singh versus Becky Lynch. Stop. Think about that. 3 great matches you could possibly have for this women's title in the near future. And oh, by the way, Dakota Kai versus Becky Lynch. Add that one. 4 possible matches you can have for the world title.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not understanding the comparisons for Becky Lynch. She's not writing her own storylines or putting herself in any position. She's earning it because she goes out there and has a great match every time.
Exactly, and I feel like this Rhea Ripley injury is the only reason that she has a title, because I had a feeling if Rhea Ripley wasn't injured, Becky would be taking some time off and going with Seth to rest and heal up instead of being on TV week after week on Monday Night Raw.
That Bryan Danielson gift really says it all. Fickle.
True, so true. You know, sometimes wrestling fans are fickle, and we forget that fan is short for fanatic. So my 5th question for you this week. This past Friday, Vince McMahon finally sold the last of his TKO stock. He's officially out of stock with TKO, so technically he's not in WWE / TKO anymore. So actually, a lot of people started throwing this idea around that he could possibly start another wrestling promotion in the next 3 or 4 years. Actually, are we ever going to see that? And B, do you ever want to see that? Because I want to tell you right now, no and no.
I was gonna say, I don't think he would start right now and do something, and I definitely wouldn't watch it. I think right now with everything going on, with even just his age, I don't see him starting up a whole new wrestling promotion. It would be completely insane in my opinion.
Okay, let's just stop and unpack this for a second. So we're thinking, if you're going down this road, he's going to start a promotion from the ground up. He's going to need a TV deal. Where is he going to go? What kind of channel is going to work with him with the baggage that he comes with now? Because all these things are out about Vince McMahon now. This is not 10 years ago where we didn't know a lot of stuff. This is all out in public now. This guy is totally toxic, and I doubt anybody would go near this guy to go, hey, let's put you on your company on TV. The only way I could see this possibly working if he kind of joined up with Billy Corgan. I don't know how Billy Corgan feels about Vince McMahon, and somehow Vince McMahon buys the NWA from Billy Corgan. Then there you go again. TV deal, where do you put this thing? And like I said, I don't want to think about it.
That would be pretty bleak.
Let me tell you, Vince McMahon, Billy Corgan together is like a 7 circle of hell that I do not want to visit.
Very much agreed.
Okay, we are moving on to our very final stunning question of the week. And it kind of plays on a few questions we already had this week. If you had a promotion, Ashley, and you only had 3 choices of people you could pick from to run it, Tony Khan, Eric Bischoff, or Dixie Carter, you haven't picked one of the 3. Who are you taking?
What a question. I think I would go with TK, but I would manage his media. But I think the only reason I would pick him though is I think like what we like in professional wrestling and like what we want to see out of professional wrestling are probably more compatible than I would have in common with either Bischoff or Carter. But I would definitely have to like change Tony Khan's Twitter password or something.
Ashley, I would feel like you'd be like, Tony, we're moving the company to Rhode Island. 1, 2, give me your phone. You're not going to have it back until I decide to end this company. Now, me personally, I'm looking at these 3 choices, and I know I'm going to get some grief about this. I kind of want to pick Eric Bischoff. I want to see maybe what he can do now, since it's been 20 plus years since WCW, and he was about to buy WCW. The contract was there. They were about ready to sign it. The only thing that stopped him from buying WCW was the fact that it didn't come with the TV time slots on TNT and TBS. He was going to have a shop for another TV deal, and that became almost impossible at the time because of the TV market, and so he decided not to do it, and we know the rest of the history. WCW gets bought up by Vince McMahon, and we go through a long period where there's only one major professional wrestling company in North America, the WWE. So this is a biased WCW pick, and it's not the smartest pick, but I want to see what Eric Bischoff can do nowadays with maybe a company.
True, with all the talking he's been doing lately, like it'd be nice to see what he could actually pull off.
I mean, I don't know how long this company's going to last, but hey, I'm here for the fun of it. I'm just here to watch it go whatever way it's going to go, okay? That's all I'm going to say. And that has been our stunning 6 questions this week on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. As we go into the home stretch, it's my year's favorite time of the show, our top 5 matches of the week.
It's Shawn and Ashlee's top 5 matches of the week. As they count down their 5 favourite matches from the past week, did your favourite match make the cut?
But I gotta say, Dynamite was a very interesting show coming off of one of the best pay-per-views I have seen this year. And I didn't pick any matches from Dynamite on my top 5. Do you want me to go first, or you want to go first?
Go ahead, you can go first.
Okay, so we're going with my top 5 first. And my number 5 match came from a week ago tonight, as we're recording on Tuesday night. It's the NXT Triple Threat Women's Title match. Tatum Pasley, Roxanne Perez, and Lyra Valkyria. This was a fun 3-way match, and Roxanne sneakily wins here after Tatum Pasley hit a dang good move on Lyra Valkyria. I thought she was going to have a pin. We get a 1-2, and Roxanne Perez comes in and bridges Pasley into a position and gets a 3 count and slides out. It was a great end to this match. If you haven't seen this match, go back to NXT last week and watch this women's 3-way match. It opened up the show, and I felt bad for them opening up the show because they didn't get entrances, but this match was so much fun.
Yeah, I've been seeing Paxley get a lot of attention lately.
I gotta say, she is going to be a freaking star. Now, with Lyra Valkyria getting drafted up to Raw, I got a feeling that Pasley is going to be a quasi anti-babyface against a heel Roxanne Perez, which is going to be kind of interesting to watch here as we watch NXT for the summer. So, Ashley, what is your number 5 match of the week?
All right, so number 5, before I do my number 5, I'm quickly going to give a quick shout out because the match doesn't go on the top 5, but Roosh came back this week and had a match, and I just want to say, yay, finally, Roosh wrestling again. But number 5, I went with the Swerve versus Kyle Fletcher match. Kyle Fletcher kind of just killing it on the singles scene, which ultimately leaves me a little afraid for when Mark Davis comes back and where he'll fit into everything. But a crazy good match between Swerve and Kyle Fletcher that I believe that is going to be leading to, I think, our inevitable Wembley main event, possibly with Swerve and Will Ospreay.
I do believe so. And also, I feel like we got a side story from this match this week. I had a feeling that babyface Will Ospreay was going to be the one that gets booted out of this group. After this episode of Dynamite, I feel like it's going to be Will Ospreay and Kyle Fisher both getting booted out of the Don Callis family. And it's going to be the United Empire coming to help Will and Kyle battle Don Callis' family. And that could be at Wembley if you don't want to go down the road of Ospreay versus Swerve for the title, which I feel like if you don't put Will Ospreay in that world title match at Wembley and flip that title, you're leaving money on the table. Personally, that's my bias. I mean, I love Swerve, but Will Ospreay, London, world title makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and honestly, that could be perfect, and it would make sense, kind of like with the way like Don is like will just kind of like is shown to be like, oh, I don't really need you, I'll just get rid of you. Like I could definitely see him like getting rid of Fletcher in that vein, like for being too defensive of Ospreay or something.
Oh, hey, he turned on Kenny Omega, the person that Don Callis told me that he raised like a second son, and like, oh, by the way, did you see Don Callis turn on Kenny Omega?
Don Callis.
Okay, so we're going to my number 4 match of the week. It comes from last week's Friday Night SmackDown. It's the first night of the WWE draft, and Carmelo Hayes is one of the first picks by SmackDown. He comes out, he challenges Cody to a match. It was a fine match. Unfortunately, Cody injured his shoulder, and I feel like this match went home a little bit quickly as he decided to end the match right after the spot where Cody got injured with his shoulder. But I feel like this was a fine loss for Melo to take. You introduce Carmelo Hayes to the common fan, those fans that watch on Fox every Friday night and don't watch NXT like we do on USA Network every Tuesday night. And I had to battle some people who said this was a bad loss for Carmelo Hayes. I'm going like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
Cody is your world champion. Cody's your world champion. He's not going to lose on free TV. They don't do that anymore in the WWE or any wrestling company normally. You might get a surprise one-day title run, but that's like 20 or 30 years ago. I'm going like, guys, calm down. Carmelo looked good in this defeat. It gives Carmelo a chip on his shoulder now, and he can work his way through the summer and the fall. And eventually, we will work back around to Carmelo Hayes versus Cody Rhodes, and who knows? Carmelo Hayes may be the person to take the title off Cody. We don't know that yet. We have to see how that story goes. And yes, I just use story again.
It's funny because regarding the match I just spoke about, Swerve and Fletcher, and the match you just spoke about, Cody and Melo, these are the two matches I saw people kind of complaining about the most this week. Oh, why is this match happening? Why is this match happening? Like, you can't be this dense sometimes. You have to understand that, like you said, this is to introduce Carmelo to people who aren't as familiar with him, who don't watch NXT every week, who know what they have in this guy and want to show him off and be like, hey, look, Cody's the guy you've backed for 2 years and pushed to the moon and wanted to be the champion. You're not just going to have him lose in one night to the guy you're just introducing to like a good chunk of your audience. That doesn't make a lot of sense, in my opinion. Like you said, every once in a while, you can have like maybe one of those moments. I don't feel like this was that moment yet. It's kind of a random SmackDown exhibition. I don't think we need to put that much pressure on it. It should have just been a good showcase for Melo. And in service to like Swerve and Fletcher, it's another single showcase for Fletcher in service to Swerve versus Ospreay. Like, it's not this hard to figure out. Like, it's pretty easy when you just are following like the logic of the matches.
Exactly, Ashley. I do agree with you that we just need to back up and look at the 30,000 foot picture instead of being like, hey, this bad booking. It's not bad booking. It's smart booking as you're trying to introduce new people to a group of wrestling fans who are not as diehard as me and you.
Exactly.
Okay, Ashley, we're moving to your number 4 match of the week, and what do you have for us?
All right, so from Collision, Shane Taylor Promotions, Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty taking on Katsuyori Shibata with kind of inspired Daniel Garcia back to wearing the trunks, still doing the dance, but seemingly a little more focused than he's maybe been over the past few months. Shibata's just killing it, and Shane Taylor Promotions is kind of becoming a very good, kind of like heel team. I'm liking like what they're doing, and I think, especially like Lee Moriarty was kind of meant to showcase in this match, and to me, he did.
Actually, this was the one match from that 3-hour Collision and Rampage from this past weekend that I wasn't able to watch, and I want to go watch it now because of the way you were describing it. I did see the promo backstage where Dan Garcia offered his service to Shibata as his partner because Shibata was going to do this solo. He's like, hey, I'll take on Lee Moriarty and Shane Taylor by myself, and Garcia goes like, no, I got your back. And I want to say, I'm here for Shibata and Garcia to be a tag team. I feel like that's a fun tag team for the summer. And more Shibata, the better, is my statement here. Shibata is the best thing going in AEW right now, besides Source Rotten.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I kind of spoke last week about, I thought Chuck Taylor was going to join Trent, and that didn't happen. So I could see maybe Shibata and OC kind of not staying together in service to that storyline. So pairing him with kind of Daniel Garcia, who's sort of been coming out with like Daddy Magic, but only occasionally, I think could be a little more grounded for him and help him get back to a little bit more of his old Red Death form.
Very true. So let's go to my number 3 match. It's from last week's NXT. It's the main event. It's Trick Williams versus Dragunov. This was a hell of a match. And I know some people were going like, hey, they copied the end of Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson. In a way, it was an homage to that match. But this was Trick Williams' crowning moment where we give the title over because we've been booking Trick on NXT for over a year to be the next NXT champion, and Dragunov did the best to give him the best possible send-off before Dragunov went to Raw. This is how you do the Cody and Carmelo story. This is the ending to the Carmelo and Cody story. We've seen it with Trick and Dragunov here because it's been done right.
Yes, and all I'll say about the end of that match is I want more of that in wrestling. I want more of these in the corner standoff showdowns, and then they just attack each other like an anime. Like, I'm in. I want this.
It works. It's a great way to end, like get you a ending. It's like you're so annoyed at the person because you can't beat them. You're just staring them down, daring them to come at you, and you both go for a finishing move, and one of you get it, and the other one does it, and there you go. Great storytelling. So, Ashley, what is your number 3 match of the week?
Okay, speaking of storytelling, the match that broke my heart. On Rampage, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta having their first match in the parking lot. Just it's brutal. It might not be for everybody. There's a light tube spot that also scares me. I'm not the biggest fan of light tubes in matches, but it is what it is. But I was very surprised to see Chuck Taylor not join Trent Beretta, and then we get this match with Trent getting the kind of expected big win to further his heel character. But I am concerned because Tony Schiavone made a comment about maybe Chuck Taylor being out for a bit again.
See, Ashley, I feel like this is why Trent Beretta got the victory here, and we didn't see what we were thinking coming into this week, that we would see Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta both turn heels. It's for the simple fact that Chuck Taylor can't get cleared to do a professional wrestling match. He was able to be cleared to do this basically street fight, for lack of a better word. And yes, there's a glass light tube spot, but I gotta say, it was one of the safest light bulb spot I have seen ever, as the way they had it set up on the table and bound together. So I'll give them credit for thinking about it and doing it as safe as you can possibly do that spot. And it was a good spot to have because both of these guys are so heated into this rivalry here. You would see these people going this as their step to try to get the victory, to prove the point to the person they're across facing. And I'm like, a great match. And normally I'll be the person who said, this is not my cup of tea. This was a fine match. This was a good way to write Chuck Taylor off and let him heal up. And eventually, maybe we'll go revisit Trent Beretta versus Chuck Taylor down the road sometime in 2025. And all the best wishes to Chuck Taylor.
Yeah, definitely, because he's already been out for a minute. and it seems like possibly Trent Beretta may be on his way to the Don Callis family, considering after the match, Don Callis kind of looking on. So I could see maybe Trent kind of getting himself into a new faction. I would kind of hope he holds off for a bit though, because I think Trent is pretty underappreciated as a singles competitor, and I think a heel run like this could kind of open people up to see what he's got to offer.
Very true. And I got a feeling he may be the person that replaces Will Ospreay and the Don Callis family. Oh, hey, Trent Beretta versus Will Ospreay. That'd be a kind of cool match, too. Let's do that one.
Yeah. Trent needs some singles showcases now.
Okay, you talk showcases. Allow me to go to match number 2 for Shawn this week. And yeah, this is kind of biased. It's the Acclaim versus GYV. We're still young veterans. Grit your teeth. This was a fine freaking match on Collision, and Collision saved the week for AEW, in my opinion. Coming off of a very interesting Dynamite, I'm thinking like, man, this is a downer for a good pay-per-view coming this week. And this match here, Collision was the best AEW show of the week. This was my favorite match from Collision. And yeah, I know that the Acclaim were going to win this match, but man, it was fun to see GYV versus the Acclaim. And Anthony Bowens needs a single title run stack. And maybe Max Caster can go do something on Ring of Honor TV or something like that, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, no, it was definitely cool. I like when they do get to do like, I like these occasional showcases when they bring in somebody who's not signed but like kind of already has a name around and stuff like that. And I think a very cool way for the grizzled young veterans, as they've been kind of going around and hitting all of these different places now, a very cool way for them to kind of get publicity and notice for their startup there with Burning Heart. I'm genuinely a little baffled on where the Acclaimed go from here, though. You know, they seem to be struggling to find their place now. And for a team that was so red hot, it's showing that they're not as over as they once were, for sure.
Yeah, it's a very interesting start to 2024 for the Acclaim, because they were probably the hottest tag team in AEW coming out of 2023, and they have really cooled off. Like you said, they are nowhere near what they were 6 months ago. And I don't know if this is a simple fact with Matt Caster and his rapping and not hitting or something. I feel like we need to refresh the Acclaim somehow, maybe turn them heel, maybe that's a possibility. Or like I said, break them up, give Anthony Bowen a chance to show what he can do as a single competitor.
Exactly. Like I said, he threw out the challenge to Swerve, and I would love to see that match one-on-one.
Oh, yeah, there's another match for December that we would love to see, and I'll co-sign up for one for you, my friend. So, Ashley, what is your number 2 match of the week here?
All right, so number one, and number two, I think I could have gone either way, but number 2, I put finally the AEW in-ring return of Rey Fenix taking on the Beast Mortos. If you're unknown, he was formerly Black Taurus. And he continues to be one of the most deceptively athletic people I think I may have ever seen.
Very true, Ashley. Somehow AEW has found these guys who are massive, big, tall giants who can freaking wrestle like a cruiserweight, and they can give people like Rey Fenix a hell of a match. And I want to see more of the former Black Taurus, because this guy is freaking amazing. And there's so many people that he can work with in AEW. Ooh, you know what? Why not Pentagon? Can we have Pentagon versus Black Taurus? I mean, like, that'd be fun. Your boy Roosh versus Black Taurus? Yes, I would say.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's great to see Rey Fenix back in the ring after kind of a lengthy absence from his injury. And I if you keep showcasing like somebody like Beast Mortos like this, he's going to get crazy over. He has an insane look, and he's so good in the ring. It's crazy. He is like beyond jacked. He's like built like crazy, and he just like throws caution to the wind, like in a similar fashion to Rey Fenix, like in the ring.
Exactly. I got a feeling that me and you have the same match at number 1. I got a feeling about it, because if you haven't been watching this show for the last year or so, because I selected Swerve Strickland versus Claudio from AEW Collision. Swerve Strickland comes down, He wants to have a world title match. He says, whoever in the back, just come on out. And who is it? It's Claudio Castagnoli. And oh my word, if you need to see one match from AEW this week, this is it. This is the match you need to see. Because they went like 20 some odd minutes. And I will tell you right now, Swerve Strickland went for a stomp. Claudio caught him. And European uppercut him into Nance.
Yep, exactly. It's my number one as well. Yeah, Claudio in his string of singles matches, I don't even know what you can say anymore. It's like everyone from the BCC is just going out and having like unparalleled singles matches. Swerve Strickland is killing it, and the crazy stomp when Claudio caught him and he like came down and stomped him. I was like, oh my god, like a crazy way. And I think a lot of what was done on Saturday with Swerve, like his promo and the big match with Claudio, was kind of done more in service to celebrate Swerve's victory than the match with Kyle Fletcher, because I saw a lot of people complaining that, he didn't get the promo time that he did on Saturday. But I feel like, I don't want to defend AEW if they just made a boneheaded decision, but I do feel like it was maybe done with the hopes of that hopefully big lead-in from the NBA would kind of help maybe help keep eyes on the product after the NBA games were done.
Actually, that could be a possibility. Unfortunately for AEW, that game was way out of the hand at the end of the game, as Boston was beating the stuffing out of the Miami Heat. But, that's the chances you take. But I was happy this was on Collision. And like you said, I felt like this was them going like, we didn't do enough with Swerve on Dynamite coming out of his major victory at Dynasty. We need to do something. I was like, by the end of the show, I was like, okay, AEW, I'll forgive me. You gave us one of the best matches I have seen in a while. And I kind of went on Twitter and said, this may be TV match of the year so far. And we're just in late April 2024. Just saying.
I mean, if this is the run already that, like, after the first week that we can expect from Swerve, I think we're kind of in for a pretty crazy title run.
Exactly. Fasten your seatbelts in, get your popcorn ready, and have your tray in the upright position, because this is going to be some freaking flight. And that has been our top 5 matches here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. Ashlee, before we leave everybody this week, where can we find you on the super information super highway?
I'm on Twitter, and it's at groovy_ash_.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can always follow the show on Twitter at Radio Free PW. We're also on Instagram and TikTok underneath the same handle, Radio Free PW. Do us a favor, if you enjoyed this episode of Radio Free Professional Wrestling, share it with your friends on podcast form, or go over to our YouTube channel, Radio Free Professional Wrestling. Hit that like button, subscribe, and until we see you again, ladies and gentlemen, Ashlee, we are the top podcasters doing top podcasting things, because this is where Wrestling Podcast lives. Top guys out.
I like that little.
Christina here. On behalf of the guys, thanks for listening. Like the show, do us a favor and share it with a friend. Have a stunning question or just want to chat? Email it to the show at radiofreeprowrestling@gmail.com. Until next time, this has been Radio Free Pro Wrestling. Stay stunning.